And it doesn't stop with Brian Fisher. Let's go now to Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck, in the wake of the Ted Cruz complete farce of a filibuster, decided to outline what would be his ideal government. I warn you, this may make you sick to your stomach. Take a look.
Here it is. After Gohmert wins in the Senate, it's President Cruz, Vice President Paul, maybe Vice President. As long as his dad is still functioning, because I'm going to put his dad as the Fed. The Treasury Secretary.
Okay.
We're going to abolish the Fed, so I don't need anybody there, but he'll be the Treasury Secretary. Louie Gohmert is going to be our Secretary of State.
Okay.
Well, then we need 2 new senators from Texas, which is
Glenn and Pat. Sounds good.
No, it doesn't.
So there it is, Lewis. It is Ted Cruz as president, Rand Paul as vice president, and then Louie Gohmert as Secretary of State. I actually think that Gohmert as Secretary of State is way scarier than Ted Cruz as president.
You know what? When Ted Cruz is president, Rand Paul is vice president, and Louie Gohmert is Secretary of State, Louis Motamedi will be in Europe.
Right. Yeah. So is that, we hear liberals all the time say, oh, I'm moving to Canada, this, that, the other thing. And nobody ever really means it. But if we really got to a point where it's Gohmert, Paul, and Cruz, you would really leave the country.
I would, but I'm also pretty confident Ted Cruz will never even come close to being president of the United States.
By the way, Glenn Beck, in his complete romanticized, enamored view of Ted Cruz, seems to be forgetting that Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi Nelson Cruz, is a regional head of a Goldman Sachs division. If you just Google Glenn Beck Goldman Sachs, you'll see all of these Glenn Beck videos where he talks about the infection of Goldman Sachs and the Goldman Sachs connection to running the government. How is it that on the one hand, Glenn Beck is really concerned about the effect of Goldman Sachs on our political and economic system, but at the same time wants a first lady who was an important person at Goldman Sachs? Doesn't really make sense, does it?
No, not just being first lady. I mean, let's talk about the obvious connection between companies like Sachs and Ted Cruz.
Yeah, and again, Glenn Beck it doesn't seem like the facts matter anymore, because it's almost like he's in love with what Ted Cruz is doing, the filibuster, defunding Obamacare, this faux patriotism. It's all magical, apparently, in Glenn Beck's mind.